Welcome, everyone. We got Jarrad here today, and he's going to share a little bit more on his transformation and his daily routine, mindset lessons, hacks on how he got six pack lean. Before we get into that, Jarrad, tell us a little bit more about yourself, age, height, weight, what you do, so we get the full context of your schedule, your work life, family life, and then we can dive a little bit deeper into the fitness stuff.
No worries. Well, I'm 42, 187 centimeters. I think when I started the program, I was about 84 odd kilos. I'm 76 now, so not a huge change on the scales, but the results that I've gotten in the 3 months odd that I've been in the program have far surpassed anything I've been trying to do myself in for years. So just wish I'd found it earlier, but very grateful now. And it's helped me be far better dad and husband and basketball player and just feel so much better about myself. And I've got two girls, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, and really they are my world. And I just want to be the best dad that I can be for them. So that's a big part of my motivation.
Powerful motivator. So you're not the person that sitting on his couch, eating, potato chips, watching Netflix and eating ice cream and not going to the gym. So you're already very active. You told me twice a week working out, twice a week basketball. You had or still have a trainer, longevity coach. You also had a DNA specialist. So you've done a lot of things for your health, your personal well-being, your fitness. What would you say was different this time?
Well, I've kind of sequentially been pulling together different pieces of the puzzle, and it's a bit like trying to do your puzzle in the dark without all the pieces. So, while I've made progress, and each bit of progress you make kind of inspires you and motivates you to go deeper down that rabbit hole, like Alice in Wonderland. And you kind of think, oh, I'm on track and I'm doing okay by myself. But when I saw the results of Neil, who is one of my Facebook friends, and he's also from Perth, one of the other guys in the program, I was just blown away by how much he'd achieved in, I think, a 6 month period. So when I looked deeper into what your program offered, it really was a holistic, you're doing bloods, you're doing nutrition, you're doing an exercise program, you're doing the coaching and the mindset around it all to pull it all together. And I hadn't seen anything that was so complete. And it was actually a relief in my mind to think, okay, well, I don't have to know it all. I've tried to do it because I haven't found anyone else to. And this definitely seems to work. So, you know, try to trust it in it. And I, after listening to various case studies and speaking to Neil himself as well, and just hearing what he'd found on the inside of the program, that sort of gave me the confidence to give it a shot.
Well, I'm glad you did because the
Don't
the
worry.
results you achieved are exceptional, and you're inspiring a lot of guys, especially the smaller Australian community within the bigger group that we have right now. I think you and Neil are setting the bar high for a lot of guys there.
Well, that's cool. Like everyone's on their own journey, and hopefully some of the stuff that I've picked up, even though it hasn't been long, can help some others too.
So with well, actually, before we dive into the routine, because I think that's going to be very interesting since you integrate this with your other protocols. But yeah, before we dive into that, can you talk a little bit more about the results you've achieved? So physically, body composition, but also how you feel, the minus 14 years on the
Mhm.
on the app that you we just talked before the call, and any any metrics, but also overall well-being, quality of life, that would be
Mm.
fantastic.
Well, I guess I did mention that the overall sort of weight on the scales metric, which we tend to focus on a lot. Um, in the sort of lead up, so I lost 8 kilos in 12 weeks odd, and that was done while maintaining and increasing my muscle mass, which is probably one of the most important things. And I basically had done more in that period than the whole 2 years that I was trying to lose weight myself. So not only that, it wasn't just the scales, it was like how I look, how muscular I am. So I went from, I think I was about a 17, 18% overall percentage of body fat, and I'm down to 12. And then in the different areas, my trunk and abs are at 10%, arms at 10%, and where I carry a little bit of weight still, which I think is pretty common for guys, is 13 odd percent in the legs and glutes. So probably the best place to keep it if you're going to. And longevity wise, because I've been sort of working on that for 18 months, 2 years, I'm now 13 years younger than as my biological age compared to my actual age of 42. So that's pretty
Wow.
cool. And I've seen a big decrease since joining the program and dialing in my bloods even more. So that's been really awesome. And I'm holding the record for the longevity place that I go to at the moment. So the founder is trying to catch back up to me, and we've got a game running where, for each time I come and see him, who's the got the greater gap between their actual age and their biological age. So that's been fun.
It's pretty cool, and it always keeps you evolving to set the bar high there.
Mm.
I've found, and I think if we look at sports, it's a good example. It's sometimes easier to get to the top than to stay at the top, because to stay at the top, you have to be so hungry to defend. But if you can keep that bar high and him just a little bit behind, it's
Mhm.
it can be very, very powerful for him and both you, right?
Yeah. It's good to have comparison and some competition. And he's in my mastermind group, so we share a lot of similar values and mindset, both in terms of business and health. So at least when we go out for group meals and stuff, where that we've got the rest of the whole mastermind group on healthy eating, and a few of them, I dare say, will be joining your program after seeing the results that I've gotten so far too.
And just to add some context for anyone listening, like when maybe someone said like, "Oh, he was at 17% and it's super easy, just get down to 10, like I'm heavier, it's going to be harder." Uh, I would I would say it's going to be longer, but what I always tell to every guy is, and I'm sure you heard me talk a lot about that on the group call or in the chat, the last 10% are as hard as the first 90%. So for someone that's like 40% body fat, going down to 35 or 30, I'm not saying it's easy and the ride into the sunset, but you cut out booze, you eat out a few times less and eat a little bit more at home, for example. You start walking your dog or walk 10,000 steps, and the weight will just shred off. But when you're at the level that Jarrad is or was, where he's active 4 days a week, putting in all that effort, it will require more fine tuning and more attention to details to get to the next level, and also the desire. Because let's face it, if you go to the beach, a lot of guys would say like, "Oh, I'll take the physique on the left. I'm happy with that. I don't want to work harder. I don't want to do more. I don't want to be more focused and dialed in than to get to the next level." Right? Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like I had when you shared my progress photos online, I've had people say, "Oh, I'd be happy with where you started." And I found that when I did start the program, my first month, like I did drop a lot of weight and make progress very quickly. But then, I had to dial things in to the nth degree to really keep that progress going. And it was everything, not just one thing. It was following the program like it's my religion, if that makes sense. And then
Absolutely.
when I heard your other deep dive on with that expert on losing the stubborn fat,
Yes.
that deep dive especially was so helpful for me because it I really connected and related to, oh, so it's not just me that's, you know, having difficulty with this last 5%.
Yeah, as we talked before, if you know you're not the only one, it takes away a little bit of the heat in the pot. It's still there. It's like, all right, this is normal. I can do this, and everyone went through that.
It did give me a light at the end of the tunnel and made it achievable and motivated me to follow the program fully.
Wonderful. And would you say that the process that you're following right now, the routine we put together for you, which we can dive into, is something you can sustain? Because that's the most important thing. I always say to people like, yeah, you can do 75 hard, you can do Weight Watchers and like, 5 day
Yeah.
water fasts, but is that how you're going to live for the next 10 to 20 years? Because if not, then what's the point of even doing it just for a photo
Mm.
shoot and then going back to the
Yeah,
old way?
exactly.
So do you feel this is something that you can fully sustain for the
Mm.
next, I don't know, let's say 10 plus years?
Mm. Well, ironically, probably it's taken my normal routine, and I feel like the essence of my normal routine is still all there. So it's crazy to think that the 20% of tweaks that I've made have made 80% of the difference. Is that classic 80/20, isn't it? And I wouldn't have found those 20% of tweaks, I don't think, if I was left to do it myself. So it's the combination of it all together as well that, one plus one doesn't equal two, it equals exponential when you put it all together. So that's been really powerful.
Perfect. So let's talk about your routine. Can you walk us through from the moment you open your eyes till the moment you close your eyes at night, what you're doing, timing, maybe share also why you're doing some stuff so that we have the full big picture there with details.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll start with wake up time. I generally get up at sort of 6:45, 7. I'm not a big early riser, to be honest. Like I'm more of a night owl. I'm thrilled that we can do this interview at night time in Perth because I'm at my best at night, not in the morning. So when I hear what some other people do with getting up at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m., I'm like, no, like I'm not going to sustain that. Like I might be able to do that for a week or two, but I need to have, I like to stay up a little late, watch stuff in the evening, have some me time to myself. I often game and listen to a podcast at the same time um, in the evening, watch a bit of, a show, and then I still get to bed at sort of 10:30 most nights. So I get pretty decent sleep from 10:30 to 7. And when I get up, I was really searching for a breakfast that I could dial in on and just enjoy. And where I've landed is the blueberry pancakes from the recipe book. I just absolutely love them, and it feels like a treat every day to start the day. So they're such a great, macro mix as well. So they're only 254 calories. They're like high protein, got the carbs, got the protein, lower on the fat. And I just thought, even though it takes a little bit of time to make it every day, I wish that we could bottle that up or, pre-mix it. And I might look into, can I mix it and put it in a container in the fridge and just pour it out every day. But I spend the time in the morning making those each day, and I just because I love them so much. So that's pretty much what I eat 6 days a week for breakfast. You might think, oh, that's boring having the same thing, but how I mix it up is I use different flavors of protein. So a lot of the stuff that I do with my eating, I keep 90% the same, but I use things to find variety in the sameness. And I find that when it's same, I can dial it in and have a habit around it. And then I can bring in like the different flavor of protein. One day I'm having chocolate blueberry pancakes, the next day I'm having peanut and vanilla pancakes, and the next day I'm having cheesecake flavored protein for pancakes. So, but each day, 6 days a week, it's pancakes. So I don't know if that makes sense.
And I think you can also, if you keep, like, I keep the flavor usually the same. I have chocolate, sometimes vanilla. If I do something, like I have something similar, I do like frozen berries
Yeah.
with whey protein, creatine, and collagen all mixed together, a little bit of cinnamon, maybe some honey. And what I do is I mix either the protein powder, so sometimes chocolate, sometimes vanilla, but I always like to change the berries. So like strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, like that will, as you said, the framework stays, but like one ingredient changes it, and that just will add it up.
Hmm.
Or some bananas, right? Like I just will throw in there some bananas instead of the frozen berries, and so I'm very similar there with that. Even with oats, when I used to do oatmeal, it was exactly the same. Like I would just change some ingredients, and it would just work fine.
Hmm. And yeah, that habit, it's just good to get into a habit. And when I go out and when I'm traveling, my go-to thing seems to be like an omelet of some kind because it's pretty easy to get everywhere. So I often get an egg and mushroom omelet, and that's my go-to. So when went to Bali recently, every day, there's so many other bad things you could have at the morning buffet, and I don't really want to overdo it when I don't. I'd rather quality and something that I really enjoy if I'm having the calories, right, and going out of my macros. So I tend to just seek the egg and mushroom omelet and get it freshly made, and that's good for me. So and easy to track in your calorie tracker as well. Other stuff, then I go out and do my steps. So I like doing steps after meals. When I do my morning steps, I just go for a 40-minute walk and I get it in between helping the kids with breakfast, and I've had breakfast. There's that gap between that and school. So I go out and get my steps in that gap because I need to be able to help out around the house too. And I find the 40 minutes is just a nice period. It's not too long, it's not too short, and it gives me a good base to then not need too many steps later in the day. So throughout the day, I might get another couple of thousand. And I know that 10 minutes equates to 1,000 steps for me, roughly. So 4,000 steps to start the day, 1 to 2,000 throughout the day. And then I usually get steps after my evening meal. It really helps with digestion. And I often need either a 20-minute um, evening steps or 20 to 40 minutes in the evening steps to make it up. And I generally stop at the 10K steps per day. When I first started the program, like I did hear other case studies where people were doing massive steps and they said it progressed them faster. I tried to do a lot more steps, and um, I find it didn't really progress me faster necessarily. So I just thought, oh, it is extra time. I'd rather put it into the areas that I'm seeing work, and I'd rather make it sustainable. So every day without fail, I've got 10K steps for 3 months, and that's what I've done.
And is your evening walk outside as well, or
Yeah.
do you have a treadmill? Okay.
I do have a treadmill. I use the treadmill a couple of times a week on meetings, but I just prefer to walk outside. And I've found it to be so much better for, my brain has just been firing like no tomorrow the last 3 months. That's been one of the other. I'm more buzzed about my business now. I don't know, you didn't ask about this, but than I've probably ever been in 17 years. And the ideas that I'm coming up with, like I'm just so energized each day to get into it that if someone said to me, you're going to do this program and get your to be in the best shape of your life, but you're also going to get, the most highly valuable ideas that you've had in 17 years of business, I wouldn't have believed them. But, having this time to walk to yourself, like just, being not having alcohol, having everything else dialed in, I guess your brain works better as well. So,
I 100% agree. I always like to say, business is the playbook. You and I are the players. And if the player is more optimized, then you're going to crush that playbook. And it's also, especially like as business owners or entrepreneurs, we get paid to solve problems.
mm,
And the way we solve problems is we come up with solutions and or create them. And the way we create the solutions is through creativity, right? You create to creativity. And you cannot be creative if your gut health is not optimal, if your sleep is poor, if you're inflamed, full of visceral fat, inflammation in the brain, you're very stressed. And so you getting to your peak and also the walks outside that calm down your nervous system and free up your mind, increase blood flow to the brain, that will all increase the player's ability to think better, think faster, and come up with better ideas. I've
mm,
noticed that myself and many, many guys in the group
yeah.
as well. Of course, not everyone, right? It's not like guarantee, but it just makes sense. When you're better and you feel better, you perform better, and every area of your life will get many, many times amplified.
Mm. Well, it certainly helped me pay for the program many times over. So that's a good byproduct.
Always
Um,
important when we can, there's the invisible ROI, but also like the more
yeah,
tangible one. So it's good that we have both. Yeah,
definitely.
you wanted to say something?
I was just going to say, rest of my routine, continuing on like lunch wise, I usually have chicken breast or salmon with salad, but mainly chicken breast probably 5 times a week, just because it's fairly low on calories, but high on protein and sort of what matters. And I find one of the guys in Perth put me on to buying it sort of pre-cooked. So I tend to gravitate towards that most of the time, and I add spices and other flavorings to make it more interesting. So I've gone and decked out so many spices in my cabinet, from Moroccan spice to Cajun to, you know, rubs and garlic and steak. And I've got different flavors of kimchi that I add to my salad as well. And I just have that with with lots of variety of salad too. So I have kind of every salad type that I can buy at my store, and that's my lunch most days. And I just find that it's good because you're getting full and you're having a good macro mix, and you're getting all those other nutrients from the other things as well. And it's still overall low on your calories, so you can put it to other areas if you want. So yeah, fairly boring, but variety with the spices and different vegetables. And then
It keeps
I
you full and gives you all
yeah,
the, well, not all, but it gives you many micronutrients, antioxidants.
definitely. And I use a pre-prepared meal for probably the other 3 or 4 days a week, or whenever I don't have the time to say make a salad. We found a really good one in Perth here for the Australians, so we can get you onto that. But I'm sure there'd be so many providers in the US, and it did take a while to know what you're looking for, like higher in the protein, lower in the carbs and fat, and you don't want to. So many meals, you look at them and they're advertised as healthy, but the reality is the macros are just really badly imbalanced, and it doesn't take long to work out. Oh, you're having a lot of calories in some of them as well, and then you don't get to have other things during the day because it's just overloaded on your lunch. So it's good when you find a good provider.
And yeah, good, reliable, and
Fresh.
if you know, yeah, and if you know you can rely on it for your nutrition plan, it's truly a game changer because it kind of gives you the peace of mind. Versus
Yeah.
if like, maybe they come late, maybe it's not that good, maybe they messed up
Yeah.
this. Ah,
I find as well because they have some really interesting sauces and like flavorings that it's good to know exactly what those are. And you can, if you're sort of preparing them yourself or from other areas, it can be hard to track that element of it. And you're getting, stuff, blowouts from what you aren't knowing exactly, especially if you're eating out in restaurants or cafes and stuff. So you end up saving a lot of money too, just by not eating out as much. So
yeah, and time. People
yeah,
think sometimes like, oh, if I go and eat out, I'm gonna save time. Well, if you drive there or walk there and then order, you have to wait, you come
yeah,
back. I'm pretty sure with the right tools, like an air fryer or even a infrared high heat grill, but even not a grill, even just like regular ground beef, a rice cooker, something quick, like you will be able to get that meal done easier and faster at home and healthier than you would ever if you go out, and it's usually taking you longer, not shorter.
yeah, for sure. So in after I've been a huge fan of having 6 meals a day, and I love having morning tea, afternoon tea, um, dessert, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I never wanted to feel hungry, and that's what I was doing beforehand. So I really found how to adapt the program to what I wanted in that. And um, for morning tea, I just have a protein shake, so that's easy. Um, and mix up the different flavors of protein. That's good. I find that you can have it on the run. I'm often going out to meetings and stuff, so I just take one in the car with me. Afternoon tea wise, I'd always have a chicken and vegetable soup or a chicken soup, and I find that they're fairly low on calories, but also I get a high protein one, and I think mine's like 80 calories, and I just find that it fills me up a lot. So that carries me on to dinner. And if I don't have soup left over, I tend to have like a can of tuna with cherry tomatoes and endermy beans and a rice cake or something like that. So that's
Do
sort
you
of my
take the
mix.
soup? Sorry, interrupted. Do you take the soup because of the collagen, or is it like that you really like it?
No, I just really like it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have it. I'm only just going into our winter now. I'm so excited to have soup during winter, but I've had it all through summer as well. So I just find it's an easy way to eat healthy and get some vegetables and stuff in there as well. So and it's pre-prepared. I did have a whole stint of making my own chicken and veg soups. And that's where I was going and getting like the bone broth and premium chicken stock and stuff like that. But that is very time consuming, and I only do it now on when I'm feeling like a something different. So, hmm. But dinner wise, we tend to have things like chicken breasts with Thai green curry or red curries. We make quite a lot of those. I do a roast chicken in an air fryer once per week, and that's my Friday favorite sort of meal. And I have that with just salad. So good. I have skin on too, so that's what I look forward to. But it's amazing the difference when you look at chicken breast, but compared to like thigh, leg, wings. You know, I flipped it because I used to just have the thigh, leg, and wings and no chicken breast and leave that for my wife. And then when you see the calorie difference, I'm like, oh, the breast is, we're going to be sharing that, sweetie. So that was a pretty big switch just because of the difference it makes. You can pretty much have double the quantity for the same amount of calories.
Yes, way
So
more protein and less fat.
yeah,
But the taste of,
yeah,
at least for me, from the thighs, more than the legs or the chicken wings, that the thighs is unbeatable. So
yeah. I make a chicken cacciatore in a slow cooker with the thighs once a week and throw heaps of veg in there, and that's comes out still being really healthy and like a big meal. So that's good. And I pretty much just keep my meat at the 170 to 200 grams and then salad and veg and try to mix it up with you know, different other flavorings to keep it interesting. I'd have a love my beef eye fillet with salad and love I slow cook a beef roast. We had that tonight and just pile heaps of veg into that as well. And so all pretty easy and in line with your program. So it was good to not have to deviate too much. A big thing for me was portion control and knowing what I'm actually eating because I wasn't tracking calories before. Um, so that was eye-opening in in the first few weeks. And what has been sustainable for me and my wife is like sh I really got her support and before joining the program. So we eat the same, but she might just eat, have some more rice on her plate to go with that Thai green curry. She's got maybe a third of a bowl of rice, and I have it without rice most of the time. Have it with extra cauliflower or I make a cauliflower rice or something like that. Um, but we've pretty much eat the same, and that has fitted in well. And I think if I was going to try to, you know, force her to do things, I wouldn't have had the same support I've had. And what's more happened is as I've gotten dialed in these healthier habits, she's seen the results and she's adopted them slowly as well without me forcing her. So she's doing 10K steps a day now, and she's eating a lot more healthier, and we're a lot more conscious and aware of what is going into our bodies, and she's feeling heaps better herself. So it's been good.
always good when the entire household changes, which will make it infinitely more sustainable
Mm.
for everyone.
And the other area is probably fluids. Like when you say, drink whatever amount per day, it can be pretty daunting if that's just plain water. Like, well, when I say daunting, probably boring is the word that I'd use. So I have a lot of naturally flavored, like zero sugar sparkling waters, and I flavored the water myself I have a lime that I cut up wedges of during the day, and I put mint from my garden in, and I just find that with sparkling water it feels like I'm drinking something a bit more exciting and I look forward to it. And when I'm out, with friends or my team and stuff, I tend to drink that same thing over the bar, like soda water with lime and mint. And I feel like I'm drinking alcohol still, and other people probably think I am too because I'm still enjoying myself and having fun. So It's definitely taken a while to rewire in my head because I used to think I need to drink to have fun in those settings. And it is pretty hard when you go to a family birthday and you look around and there's an open bar and every other person in the place is drinking alcohol. So that there's been some challenging moments to push through like that. And now on the other side of it, like I know how I feel when I wake up after drinking and how long, when you're 20, you can stay out till 4 a.m. and brush it off and go to work the next day at 8. Um, when you start getting a bit older, and I'm sure it gets worse from here, right? But your recovery time and when you're clean, you notice the impact of even small things on taking you off that best feeling. So I've only drank once in the last 4 months, which has been, you know, the longest period in my entire adult life. And it's harder now to drink than to not drink, which is the flip side. So the only reason I had some alcohol that time was we went and stayed at one of the guys from our mastermind group's winery, and naturally have full experience, we had a degustation dinner with matched wines, and from his winery, like hand selected the best of his last sort of 40 years of wines, and that was worth every drop to have, and essential for the experience. So I just want to make it purposeful when I have it now.
And it makes sense. It's that's like a special occasion and not just kind of numb yourself.
Yeah.
And I found the exact same thing. Once you get to a state where you feel so good every day, let's say 9 out of 10 days of 9 out of the last 10 days, you feel 10 out of a 10 or you're in your A game, you don't want to deviate from that. And
Mm.
anything that interferes with that, why would you put that into your body?
Yeah. It just becomes an easy decision not to. And you can still have heaps of fun without it as well. So, and yeah, then a lot of the time I think I was drinking was also when you're not as comfortable with yourself or as confident with yourself, you try and gain those things from having some alcohol, like improve your confidence, get out on the dance floor. Like, why can't, if you're confident enough and you're comfortable in yourself, and why can't you just hit that dance floor?
100% agree.
Cool. Well, final other things. I love, as I said, 6 meals a day. So I have a dessert every night, and I think it reflects back to one of the guys in the program. I have strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, half a banana, and protein powder on top of that. And then I put coconut yogurt on and a handful of mixed nuts. And it's just the best, you know, dessert that I find so amazing. And it really fills me up, most importantly. So I feel like I need to have that. I could eat that every day, probably for the rest of my life, just how good it is and how much it makes you feel full. So I find when I have like traditional sugar stuff, so I was on a diet break in Bali um, the week before, like 10 days ago, and I had a few. I hit the dessert bar, let's just say, for a while, and after you have that first dessert, you then just crave more and more that evening, and you're back in your room, and you kind of want to head back down to the dessert bar, you know. So uh, it, I find that when you're having a dessert like this, you don't get those cravings. So wonderful. And I also have these chocolate protein bars, Macro Mike. I don't know if you guys get it in the US, but because I'm gluten free, dairy free, Um, I struggled to find a protein that was plant-based that had, different flavors and was still a good nutrient mix because there's a lot of them that have a lot of crap in them as well. So yeah, I love their uh, proteins because I mean they do so well with their marketing. That they just make all the flavors seem fun, and the variety that they have is huge. And if you ever want to see, as a business owner, how to market stuff, check out Macro Mike because I have, I've been suckered into their marketing a lot. More, let's just say they've got their Easter box bundle, which I've bought, and it's got white chocolate protein, a dark chocolate egg protein. It's got cinnamon um, hot cross bun flavored protein. So that's what I'm going to be having for Easter as my more exciting things around it.
Yeah, that's really smart to put the theme on it versus
Yeah,
just keeping it yearly.
yeah. So probably the biggest changes for me outside of, some of the physical has been just gaining that comfort and comfortability with myself and confidence. So when I went to Bali recently, it was the first time in my whole life that I've actually felt comfortable in my own body and, just able to hang out by the pool and go swimming and not have a single thought about, being self-conscious on myself. So it's pretty hard to put a price on how good that feeling is. And I think if now that I've felt that, like I never want to go back. So I'm going back to Bali, just to clarify. I never want to go back to feeling uncomfortable and self-conscious again. So I would do the whole program in a heartbeat just for that.
Yeah, it's priceless in my
Yeah.
opinion because I know the first time I had abs, like, okay, I'm gonna do everything in my power to defend those, no matter what. Then when you bulk, they will like
Yeah.
fade away slightly. You still have some definition, but going back to like, let's say chubby or like soft
Yeah.
where you don't see anything, maybe the belly is like hanging, the love handles. Yeah, that
Mm.
you don't want to trade that for nothing.
Mm. And now that I'm on the other side of it, you know, you look around and you can see I saw my brother in such a different light. He came down and came over for our house for a swim, and you know he's gone the opposite direction to I have in the last couple of years, and I just had a split moment where I was like, this is how I could be if I hadn't made the decisions and the choices, and he was reflecting on how difficult he was finding things the other way. So I had that split door moment where it was like, yeah, good decision point. And I think hopefully he can get his, world back together as well. So
Well, if it's enough time around you, he should get inspired.
yeah. Um, other stuff is like clothing wise, I don't think people really ever sort of told me how that would change. And I think because when you're feeling fully comfortable and you can go to a clothing store and pretty much anything that you try on, you're going to feel good in and it looks good. It definitely has had me spend a lot of money recently on redecking out my wardrobe and donating, all my older clothes and stuff. And so that's just been awesome because previously, you'd put a suit on and, your shirt's not sitting well because your gut's out so far and, you just don't feel comfortable in what you're wearing. And, yeah, it's just the complete opposite. So that's priceless. It's been priceless as well, and I'm almost looking forward to going through all the seasons again to, you know, wear different clothes that I feel good in. So, final thing, probably the biggest other change is I when I did this program, I was borderline stopping to play basketball. So I've been playing since I was 8, and I play twice a week, and it's just sort of A grade local um, comp. But as you do as a guy, you take things pretty serious. You almost think in your mind you're playing for the NBA, but it becomes a huge. I love the sport and love playing so much that if I didn't get to, my world would be sadder. And there's so many people that have come into my teams over the years and they've got a career-ending injury or they just haven't been in shape, and then you don't see them again. You run into them, years later, and without sport in their life, they haven't found another replacement for it. So I was borderline, stopping to play because my knees and shoulders and neck, it was all continuously aggravating me, like every second week, or if you're carrying those niggles that people just brush it off and say it's old man niggles, or old man injuries. And that's fine to a point, but when it's hurting you more than the benefit of playing, you start asking yourself, like, should I keep playing this? Like, the fitness is good, but you know, it was the point that I was driving around in my car and I was just so sore sitting in my car after a game, like the next day or the next couple of days, that I was thinking that it might be time to throw it in. And that's pretty crazy when you've been playing, 33, 34 years since I was 8. So um, you'd think I'd be heaps better at basketball too, but I probably just, been doing the same thing over and over again, driving the baseline and but what I've found from doing this program is, like, I don't know whether it's because my confidence is greater or whether it's my actual physical strength, getting up for rebounds and um, my knees and legs. I never actually worked out legs before this 3 month period either. So that's been, I was sort of questioning, oh, like, why should I? And
Now you know.
now I know.
Yes.
And
Especially your
so,
calves for
yeah.
your ability to jump and land and, also protect your joints, but your quads, everything. It's like your glutes.
Yeah, so it's just all showed up, and my average points has gone from sort of 4 to 6 a game to 12 to 14, and everyone's asking me in my team, what am I doing? And they're saying, "Oh, you look so cut as well, and you just running the court like no tomorrow." And I think because when you're lighter as well, you're just not carrying as much weight, and then you're able to. I basically have no soreness, either from my basketball games or from, like, I have soreness in my muscles, but it's not it's a healthy soreness from working out hard, not a pain, which was the level it was at. So it's just nice not to have that pain and to keep playing. And I've reset, and I want to become that grey-haired fox running around on the basketball court, hopefully for another, 10, 20 years out there. So that'll be cool.
I love it. Anything else you want to add?
Um, Probably the other thing that, other than just losing the weight, um, my workouts, I think, have been really key to getting the muscle too. So I don't, what's worked for me is I kept my trainer on and he trains me for 2 of the 3 days a week and pushes me for the extra PBs and helps me with my form and sort of accountability. Like I don't think you need that in the program, but it's definitely been helpful, I think, to keep him. And I just have him train and run through your exact program. So that did take a bit of humility on his part, first of all, to accept that, you know, I'm replacing his program, but I don't think he can argue with the results, and he's fully on board. And he's been incredibly supportive too. So I think he's learnt a lot too from being on his side of the fence. And I definitely find it speeds up my workout because he goes through, prepares the next machines. He's taking weights off of bars. Um, because he knows lots of the people there, I'm getting into machines when I might have to wait for them. We run like 2 machines at a time and sort of semi-reserve them, and I swap between them so that I've got fast sets going, and then he's already on to the next one beyond that, those 2 sets. So that works really well when I've got limited time, and so and I love getting pushed to, oh, I don't love it. It's love hate. Say some fairly choice words when he's pushing me to max reps and max weights, and I enjoy the banter with him. So that's been good.
Yeah, and it's even when you have someone that trains you at the gym that is from the gym, I think one big benefit is if you have a very crowded gym and it's super occupied, like when the trainer goes there, usually the machines get more like faster, free or quicker, versus like if
Yeah.
someone is there and they're just playing on their phone. But if the trainer comes, like, all right, I'm gonna get up if I'm not using that. So he kind of clears the path for you as well, which supercharges your workout even more.
He also asks, do you mind if we work in? And the moment we're working in, like their pace just picks up because we're just sort of, we're semi staring at them and swapping between stuff. So when they see how hard you go, they're quick on the machine then too. So
It's
no,
good.
it's been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty proud that I haven't missed a session any week in the 12 odd weeks. So I think that's been pretty important. Like regardless of traveling, I've like sussed out the hotels where I got the best gym and the best food and quality of food and quality of gym has sort of been key things when I'm going to stay somewhere. And I was blown away that our local island, which is Rottnest here, didn't have a gym at all. So I was mortified. Like, what am I going to do for the 4 days that I was there? So even that week, I still got my 3 sessions in by bunching up some other days and yeah, just make it happen. And I think that's taking the progress photos makes a huge difference. So I look forward to every week of seeing the progress that I've made, not and I get more excited by that than the scales. Because there's times when the scales are flat and you can really mentally hit a bit of a wall as to like I'm doing all this, like it's not showing up. That's where the coach Raul's been amazing throughout the whole program. Like I didn't actually realize how much I'd need a coach. I don't know whether other people say this to you as well, but that's pretty much the number one thing I've been putting on my feedback form is like you kind of think, oh yeah, a coach would be good, but like I would hands down put that as one of the top things to the program because and Raul's so attentive and quick to respond and he's always checking in and he finds he's got such a good balance between supportive, encouraging, and kind of motivates me, but also helps me keep to the path without being too strict, which is what the coaching style I resound with. So I know you've got different sort of coaching styles and coaches to match to people. So I've appreciated how that everything's tailored and customized on that side. And
I
then
think,
probably on the bloods with
yeah, I think most people, when it comes to coaching, maybe they look at the big picture and it's like, oh, I could need a coach or it could be helpful.
yeah,
And so that's one part. And then maybe another part is that they kind of see like as a help for the big picture. But the real value is just in what you said. It's like those daily small decisions. What do I do here? What do I do here? What about this? What about this? And like the compounding effect of all of these small decisions
mm,
added over the course of 3, 6, 12 months. I believe that is the true value more than here's your plan, here's your workout. Sure, that's good. But like those small decisions taking off your plate and there's no guesswork, there's no loss in speed. That is like the super value, right?
definitely. It's yeah, it I didn't understand just how important it was. And you know, I told quite a few people when I was joining the program, part out of accountability, but also because I thought, oh, it'd be awesome to do the program with some other friends in Perth. And um, what's kind of happened since, as I like, their progress has been extremely limited. That they've sort of thought that they can do it themselves, and you know, meanwhile, everything that I've done's just been so dialed in that um, now when they don't have that accountability and they don't have the missing pieces to their puzzle, and you know, I think they'll end up joining the program just because it's the shortcut, you know. Not that there's any shortcuts, like, but if you're gonna work hard, like I was working hard before, like I felt that I was putting everything into it. So if you're gonna do that, why not, you know, do it in the most effective way, is where I kind of got to.
Yes. 100% agree.
So thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
speeding
Thank
up
you
my
for the
journey. And
trust and the time you took today to I know you prepared a lot of notes in before, so there was a thought process and there are notes and summaries and your time today and your leadership to share more about your routine and what you're currently doing and what's working. And also, like, as I said, your unique perspective because you have like various coaches that you work with, integrating it all together, the six means, the recipes, the different teas. So I think there's a lot of guys that, especially who want like maybe a little bit more variety or a different outlook on some things, will get like a very, very good perspective from this call. So thank you very much for that.
no worries. Well, when I started the program, I think I listened to 20 plus other case studies, and I that was hugely motivating for me and also set me up to sort of understand what to expect. And it was cool to pull little pieces from each of them, and that's what I love about this program. And I had one of my friends ask me, I keep getting little random questions from friends outside that have been seeing my progress, and one of them asked me yesterday, so do they force you to, you know, have a certain type of eat a certain way exactly? And, like, am I going to be just eating cardboard or like, so, it's good to have it all customized and, have it fit and work with you that's sustainable. And I think you asked earlier, can I see myself continuing to do this? Like, yes, I can. And I'm not even that worried about progressing to our phase two, which we're sort of going into now of starting to build up, because I'm so, comfortable in this routine that I'm just happy to stay with it, to be honest.
Well,
So
I'm glad you found such such success in such a fast period of time, and I barely seen you go off track or off the rails. You're always on point. So, what I notice is when you post your results, or Neil, if we take like the Australian guys, but really anyone in the US, a lot of people always reach out and they say like, "Oh, I want the results of Neil, or results like you, results like this guy." But when it comes to put in the time, energy, and money, it's like, I don't know if I want to put in that.
Mm,
And it's like everyone wants results, but very, very few in the single digits are willing to put in the exact same amount of effort from in various ways to get there, right? So I respect
mm.
that. So hats off to you and to your success, and most importantly, to your commitment.
Thank you. If you just point me in the right direction, I'll get it done. But, you know, when you're trying to do it all yourself, it's really hard.
It
Is what
is.
I'll finish with. So thank you for pulling it all together.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.